All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week's AdvocateHub Class. This week, we have a special topic. We're going to discuss Dreamforce, and not just Dreamforce, advocate engagement and Dreamforce. So how can you make the most of your advocates and your advocates' experience at Dreamforce? And your teacher is not me. I'm Don, your support magician. This week, I will not be teaching you. This week we have a special teacher, that is Julia, your advocacy coach extraordinaire. And Julia is going to bring her own insights into Dreamforce and how you can make the most of your Advocate Hub during Dreamforce. So I'll let Julia take over. And go ahead, Julia.
Thank you, Don, for the dashing introduction. So hello, everyone. For those who have not met me, my name is Julia, and as Don mentioned, I'm an advocacy coach here at Influitive. And I am super excited to be talking to you today about the world's grandest CRM conference or trade show, aka Dreamforce. So we will be discussing specifically advocacy at Dreamforce and how you can make the most of your army of advocates, leverage them to work towards your goals, and of course have your advocates have fun at this conference to the max. So when people hear Dreamforce, different things tend to come to mind. Some people are looking forward to the amazing parties, others come to learn about industry trends, to expand their professional network, to do prospecting, all kinds of things. But the key idea here for today's class is that you're already making a big investment to go to this conference, so why not make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck by integrating your event strategy with the Advocate Hub as well. So today's agenda looks like this on a high level. We're going to approach this topic from kind of a general event management strategy perspective. So we're going to take a look at what you should be doing during the months coming up to Dreamforce. We're going to discuss the strategy at Dreamforce, so during the conference, and of course also taking advantage of the hype and maintaining the momentum in your Advocate Hub after Dreamforce as well. And as always, we're going to finish off with questions, so feel free to make notes as we go along here and present your questions at the end. We'll do our best to answer them. So this class is organized in the way that I just explained, and you'll notice that the resources that will be available to you in addition to this class will also be organized in that same kind of way. So what are these resources, you might ask? First of all, we have a Dreamforce playbook. This is essentially something that us coaches have been working on to put together a package for you guys to use and to come up with your ideal strategy for advocacy at Dreamforce. So it is a more strategic look at what you should be doing in the pre, at, and post categories in relation to this event. And very tightly tied with the playbook are the challenges. So we have created a separate category in our challenge template library called Dreamforce. For those who are not familiar with our challenge template library, it is a great resource for you admins to go into, explore the different categories, and essentially what we're trying to do here is reduce the workload that you admins experience in terms of coming up with new challenges. So there is a separate category in there for Dreamforce, and that as well is categorized in terms of pre, at, and post Dreamforce challenges. So let's get straight down to business and start talking about pre-Dreamforce best practices. So essentially, in the months leading up to Dreamforce, so essentially where we are right now in the calendar, the key question that you want to ask yourself is, do I have alignment with all the different teams that will be working on my company's presence at this conference? So whoever it is that's working on this stuff, depending on your organization's size, you might have a specific event team, maybe it's the sales team that's owning the effort. Making sure you're talking to these people. Find out what your presence will look like, where you're going to have a booth, what will that booth look like, will there be parties, do you have special speakers that will be doing keynotes, and so forth. And in relation to that, of course, make sure you're clear on the goals. So what are you looking to accomplish from Dreamforce? And of course, how advocates can help achieve these goals. So you have the unique opportunity to make sure that whatever you do in the Advocate Hub is aligned with what the organization is looking to accomplish from this conference. And this will help loads in strengthening your case for your advocacy program, showing the value, and kind of solidifying the ROI so that when other events come up, when next year's Dreamforce comes up, you'll be able to show clear metrics of the success that you've had. So number one, you'd want to start with a simple challenge that asks your advocates whether or not they're going to Dreamforce. This is already made available to you in the challenge template library. Feel free to use it. And you might also consider making a special Dreamforce badge for the people that have indicated that they're attending. In addition to all this, it's a good time to start thinking about swag. So Dreamforce tends to be a bit of a swag competition. Everyone is trying to look their best, and everyone wants to have the best swag out there. But what we want to kind of stress here is that there might be a bunch of different promotional materials that you're handing out at your booth in general, but think about creating advocate-exclusive swag. So things that are not available to just everyone, but your advocates. And as we all know, this stuff takes a little bit of time to design and produce, so this is a good time to start figuring this stuff out. Also, set metrics to evaluate your success. So make sure that whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, you might be looking to expand the number of advocates in your hub, you might be looking to drive revenue through referrals, or just generate social buzz on behalf of your company and general excitement. Make sure that you have a clear understanding of what those goals are, what the metrics are that you're looking to hit, and that will make it so much easier afterwards to evaluate how you did and improve on an ongoing basis. So what then? Dreamforce is coming up, it's approaching fast, and you want to start being a little bit more concrete in what you're doing. So this is the time to start putting out challenges in your hub. Ask your advocates to promote your presence at Dreamforce on social media. So you don't want to miss the social media boat. It's already started. If you go on Twitter, you'll see that companies are already advertising what they'll be doing at this conference. You want to be participating in that hype. Contests are also super popular. There is a number of ways in which you can organize these. For instance, you could say that the advocate that has most points by the time that Dreamforce comes around, they will win a limo ride from the airport to the conference. Or you could decide to run a conference all through Dreamforce and then pick a winner at the end of the conference. The idea is just to give some special treatment to an advocate who's made a special effort to advocate for you in the context of this conference. And the good news is you don't need to do all of this from scratch by yourself. We have a pre-Dreamforce category for you in the template library. And here's just a couple of examples of what that looks like. So one thing that you want to definitely encourage your advocates to do during this conference is to network with each other. So what better way of starting that than to put out a challenge, get your advocates that are going to Dreamforce to introduce themselves briefly. Tell others what they're looking for, who they're looking to meet, and so forth. And this will really lower the bar for them to continue that conversation face-to-face at the conference. Another example, let your advocates help each other. So there's a bunch of advocates you have that have probably already been to Dreamforce a couple of times. Get them to share their expert knowledge. Get them to share tips, say what to expect, say what not to do, and the newbies will probably find this super beneficial. And another example, just building up general excitement and hype about the event. So ask your advocates what they're most looking forward to, who they're looking to meet, what they are predicting the hot topic of this year will be, everyone will be talking about, and so forth. And these are just a couple of examples. Feel free to go in the template library and browse around, check out the pre-Dreamforce category, and you'll see there's a bunch of stuff in there that you can already start looking at today. So what's next? Mid-October rolls around and Dreamforce is actually happening. The key thing that we would recommend you focus on when October starts is proactivity. So for those who've been to Dreamforce know that it can be pretty hectic on the floor, and the last thing you want to do is manage an advocacy program at that time. You want to be focusing on the stuff that matters, meeting your customers, interacting with people. You don't want to be on a computer. And the way you can make this happen and easy for yourself is proactivity. So you can go into the challenge template library, pick the challenges that you like, make the edits that you feel like, have them ready to go, and have them publish automatically during the event so that you don't need to worry about anything. Some specifics here. So during Dreamforce, a very, very powerful thing for you to do is letting your advocates display their elite status. So I touched on this quickly at the start there when we were talking about swag, but the idea is that you create specific swag for your advocates to make them feel like they're part of an elite community. And this accomplishes a couple of things. First of all, of course, it makes your advocates feel very special because they get swag that others don't. Secondly, it will, of course, be amazing for your brand recognition because you will essentially have living, walking ads of your brand going around Dreamforce conference. And also, it's a great way to help advocates identify other advocates. So it will be much easier for them to walk up to someone who's wearing the same shirt as they are and start a conversation about what it's like to be your customer. And on the flip side, it can also spark curiosity about your program. So other advocates who are not yet advocates in your program might see people wearing these shirts, for instance, and be wondering, why is it that these people got this shirt? I want one too. What can I do to get one? And get creative with it. There's, the days at Dreamforce can get pretty busy. You might get carried away, forget to drink, for instance. So a branded water bottle may be a good idea for swag as well. So in the context of getting advocates to connect with each other, it's a really great idea to try to organize a meetup for your advocates at the conference. So whether it is a breakfast, drinks, any kind of scenario where if you can get your advocates together and get them talking about you, that is just awesome. That's when they can share best practices, learn from each other, and essentially for free, from your perspective, just become better customers. Next up, who says no to new advocates? So make sure that it is extremely easy for new advocates to become part of your program at your booth. So ideally, you could have a laptop or an iPad there where your advocates can just sign up on the spot. If that's not possible, at least make sure you are capturing their contact information so that you can invite them to the house later on. And finally, tied to the point of being proactive, have those challenges ready to go. So make sure that you don't need to spend time at Dreamforce doing this. And one good way of making sure this happens is to just plan out that challenge cadence properly so that at the event you can focus on what's important. Here's just a quick kind of cool story about wearable swag and kind of showing how important and impactful this can be. This is one of my newer customers, iCompass Technologies. They almost by themselves came up with this slogan, keep calm and clerk on, because their advocates are clerks. And it just took off like madness. All of their advocates and customers now want this t-shirt, and they will do anything for it. So imagine creating this effect at Dreamforce, having people get so excited about the swag that you're handing out that they essentially are just dragging each other to your booth to get them. So that's just a great kind of textbook example of how this is done right. So let's talk about a little bit about the different challenges we have available for you guys in the challenge template library. So in terms of the challenges that are available to your advocates at Dreamforce, I would keep in mind two things. Number one, make sure there's enough. So make sure that your advocates don't blaze through your challenges in the first day and suddenly have nothing to do, just when they were getting excited. This you can mitigate by phasing out your challenges, so setting the publishing dates to different days of the conference so that there's a good flow of challenges and activities to your advocates. Number two, Make sure it's clear to your advocates that they don't need to spend a lot of time doing these challenges. People shouldn't be staring at their phones, they should be talking to people. So here's a great example, 10-second challenge. Essentially just ask your advocates to say yes or no if they'd be willing to come and hang out at your booth to talk to a prospect, essentially an in-person reference. Another example here, you obviously want to bring as many people you can to your booth. Don't limit this to your own staff. Let your advocates do some of the work for you. So reward them for bringing prospects or just friends to your booth to chat with you. And in terms of the swag, once you've made the investment to create all this awesome swag, make sure you're making the most out of it. So have your advocates promote it. Have them upload images of themselves. You can even have a photo contest of who had the best image. You can have them share photos of themselves wearing your swag on social media and so forth. And finally, just generally try to capture the enthusiasm. So this is the kind of challenge where you ask advocates what their highlight of the day was that you can have set to multi-completion. You can have it available all throughout the event and have advocates indicate what they liked best of that day. And this is great also for post-event strategy because you will be able to take these highlights, put them together, select the top 10, whatever you want to do, and kind of reminisce on the awesomeness of the event afterwards. So what then? Dreamforce is over, but luckily the benefits that you can get out of advocacy in the context of the event are not. So there are a couple things we really want to highlight here. Number one, you want to make sure you review your success against the goals that you set and make sure that you are implementing some kind of continuous learning process so that you make sure that whatever you found to work, whatever you found that you could have done better, you're documenting that somehow and then making sure that you are improving it for your next event, whether it's Dreamforce or something else. This is also a really great opportunity for you as your advocacy program owner to show the value of the program. So you can create some really simple reports to your management showing that this is what we were able to generate at Dreamforce only through our advocates. It can be very, very powerful. Also, never ever forget to follow up. Of course, with leads generated at Dreamforce, especially if they're generated through your existing advocates, tend to be relatively warm. So make sure there is a very, very good, clear process in place for your salespeople to contact these new prospects. And of course, follow up with your advocates as well. So if you had people sign up for your hub directly at your booth, make sure that there's some kind of welcome message sent out to these people. Be as personalized as possible. Thank them for joining your program. Get them excited and kind of reinforce that sensation that they get that this was a great choice that I joined this awesome program and it's going to be great for me going forward. And of course, if you were not able to get your advocates sign up on the spot, make sure that all the invites are sent out and you're following up with the people that indicated their interest towards your program. Also, don't forget to gather feedback. So this is an awesome moment for you to gather your advocates' opinions on everything from your presence at Dreamforce, their general perceptions of how this year's conference was, their key learnings, and of course, how you organized advocacy at Dreamforce. So you want to find out if your advocates actually thought that they felt special because they are your advocates at Dreamforce as opposed to everyone else. And just a general note, just make sure you take advantage of the hype. People are excited after Dreamforce, and once they've gotten into the habit of completing those daily activities in the hub, you want to make sure that they understand that it doesn't end there. There is a continuous flow of challenges in the hub, and you don't need Dreamforce to go and advocate for you. And this is where the template library comes into play once again. So a couple of examples of post-Dreamforce challenges here. Ask for your advocates to rate your booth. So what did they think about your booth? How did they think that this could be improved? And more importantly, make sure that when you capture this valuable information, make sure you relay it to whatever team it is that's responsible for your presence at these events, if it's not yourself. Also, get advocates to share their learning. So we all know that the number of sessions at Dreamforce is just insane, and it is humanly impossible for any one person to attend all of these events. So a great way to kind of build on the excitement of the conference and make it last longer is to get your advocates to share what their key learnings were. Now, most likely, other advocates will take a look at these responses and they will learn other things that they hadn't yet thought about because they weren't able to attend that particular session. So that's a great way to start a conversation and to position your advocacy program as not only a place for kind of fun and games, but also for professional development, for knowledge sharing, best practices sharing, and so forth. And finally, don't be shy in terms of taking advantage of this awesome, positive moment in your relationship with your customers to ask for things. So it's been shown in studies that customers tend to be at their happiest just when they've purchased your product or service. So that's when they're excited, they're looking to get going, they want to see the value from your product or your service. And kind of in the same sense, the psychological effect of Dreamforce tends to be similar. So people are super pumped. They've just spent a couple of days prospecting, networking. They've met a ton of new interesting people. They've learned so much about industry trends, about their fellow customers' experiences with you. It's a very, very good time for you to take advantage of that and ask for testimonials. Capture that information in a referral contest, and generally just ask for anything that you need from your advocates when you feel like it would be a super valuable moment for them to feel extra positive about you. So, to recap here, today we've talked about Dreamforce kind of from 3 different perspectives. The months leading up to the event, so where we are right now, and I stress it again, this is the perfect time to start thinking about that stuff. So start browsing around the challenge template library, identify the challenges you'd like to use, edit them, put them out there, make sure you're being proactive at preparing for the event. Also, start thinking about all the advocate-specific swag that you would like to create for your advocates at the event. And from there, we went to talk about the actual event itself, so basically what you can do to make sure that you are engaging your advocates throughout the conference and that they stay interested, that they share whatever they are learning. And finally, we talked about PostDreamforce, so essentially how to make sure that you are taking advantage of the excitement, the hype that this conference generates, generally for several weeks afterwards, and that you are jumping on that opportunity to make the most of advocacy. So that's all I had for you today. I'll let Don take over here for our questions section of the class.
Before we continue, the one thing I'd suggest for the templates, maybe you would agree, you don't have to use the templates exactly as they are.
Absolutely.
Right? They're meant to be a jumping off point, to point you in the right direction. So whenever we have templates in the template library, you definitely recommend to customize it for your company, for your audience, right? Wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Another point on the templates, Don, I'm really happy you brought that up because specifically for these Dreamforce templates, we've added a bunch of instructions into them. So whenever we feel like it is necessary for you to customize things, for instance, if you're doing celebrity spotting of an executive, we encourage you to go and put the specific executive's photo in the challenge. So you will find all those instructions in the templates themselves to make sure that you set them up correctly.
Sounds good, sounds good. All right, so now like Julia said, we're going to open up the floor to questions. You can either put your questions in the chat window or you can call in, and we have an operator standing by here should you have any questions you want to submit over the telephone. So operator?
Take it away.
There are no audio questions.
Okay. No audio questions, and it looks like nobody has put any questions in the chat. We'll give you another minute or so if you wanted to call in. But In the meantime, thank you so much for attending this class. I hope you learned a lot. And as always, if you have any questions about the technical aspects of this, something, you can contact support@influitive.com, or you can contact your advocacy coach to discuss the strategy around Dreamforce. And it looks like we do have one question.
From Angelina Al-Hassan, this seems more focused on people with a booth. That's an interesting observation. However, I would kind of contradict that in the sense that having a booth makes things easier because you can have a place for your advocates to, for instance, sign up for your program and to come and talk to your representatives. But putting challenges out there for your advocates in the context of Dreamforce is absolutely not limited to you having a booth. So I would say that absolutely go and take advantage of this event to the max, regardless of whether or not you have a booth. Depending on your presence, you might be able to use some such challenges and others not. And the follow-up question is if we have recommendations for companies without a booth on site. So that's essentially what I was just addressing. And I would say that this is a broader discussion. We can definitely take it away offline. I would really encourage you to talk to your advocacy coach so that we can really come up with a strong strategy for you. But I guess the focus here would be, depending on what exactly your presence is, to just build that excitement amongst your advocates. Because if you cannot distribute wearable swag, for instance, you will want to instead encourage your advocates to network with each other, to learn, and to share all that learning.
Yeah, as far as the templates go, there's only a few that are even related to booths. Right? A lot of them are around discussing Dreamforce. There's many aspects of Dreamforce, so you definitely don't need a booth to take advantage of AdvocateHub at Dreamforce. So that was a great question.
Thanks, Angelina.
Yes, thank you. And it looks like that is it. So thank you again for attending, and thank you so much to Julia for providing us with all these wonderful insights on Dreamforce.
My pleasure. And as a reminder, if you do want more information on this topic, feel free to talk to your advocacy coach. We'd be absolutely thrilled to help you. And also, if you want access to the materials that I've been talking about today, more so the Dreamforce playbook, because the challenges in the template library are available to you as of right now. So feel free to go in there and browse around.
All right, thank you, and see you in a couple of weeks. Everybody have a great afternoon, and goodbye.
Have a great day.